Hi, I'm Gary Foulkes from Angler Restaurant. We have a Michelin star of cooking delicious food. My love affair with food is just, what I love most about it is spending time eating meals, delicious meals with friends and family. And I'm going to show you how to do exactly the same. What we're going to have here, we've got this beautiful rib of beef, which has been barbecued and then covered in chimichurri. We've got this cabbage, which we've barbecued with miso caramel. Beautiful, beautiful romano peppers, which are again cooked on the barbecue with soft cheese, honey and pine nuts. We've got a Jersey roll potato salad with black truffle and spring onions. And right at the end, to finish it all off, absolutely delicious, we have a salted chocolate tart with whipped vanilla cream. Banquist provides you with the best seasonal ingredients. So I'm going to start over here with the main event, if you like, with this amazing rib of beef. Just absolutely beautiful. Well aged, nice fat covering, as you can see, just here. Fat puts flavour into meat. So when we cook this on the barbecue later, we're going to start by rendering this side so we get all that fat, all that flavour running through the meat. And then when it's cooked, we're going to dress it with a chimichurri. Chimichurri is an Argentinian dressing. So I've made this. It's got some chopped shallots in there, oregano, parsley, garlic. There's a little bit of wild garlic in there as well, with some olive oil, lemon zest and seasoning. Absolutely delicious when we cook the meat and then we'll rest it in the chimichurri. So you get all that flavour just running through the meat. On the sides of that, we've got some lovely Jersey royals, which we're going to turn into Jersey roll black truffle potato salad, which will finish with some nice fresh spring onions chopped on the top. We've got these beautiful seasonal romano peppers from Italy. Really, really delicious. Much nicer than the bell peppers that you normally see in the supermarkets or whatever. So we're going to barbecue these, blister all that skin so we get the nice charred flavour on there. And then we're going to serve that with some lovely soft cheese, pine nuts and honey. Great combination. Sourness of the cheese, sweetness of the honey, charred peppers. And then we've got Hispi cabbage, also known as a spring cabbage. And then these are going to be cooked on the barbecue. We're going to cook them in the kitchen first, just to take the stress element away from it. Finish them on the barbecue to get that bitterness from the cabbage. And then we're going to dress that with some miso caramel. Miso, obviously soybean paste. We've made sugar to a caramel. Then added some miso and then some lime juice. Real umami bomb on this one. Big, big flavour. And then for dessert, we've got a salted chocolate tart with some praline. So delicious. We've got Foulkes flakes here, which we're going to mix with some melted chocolate and some praline, layer it in the bottom, and then warm up this lovely rich chocolate ganache, just poured over the top, and then season the top of it with some salt. Salt and chocolate just makes it happen. And then we're going to serve a lovely whipped vanilla cream just on top of it, just to cut through all the richness of the chocolate. Banquist provides you with 90% of the things that you need, but you do need a few kitchen essentials of your own and buckets full of enthusiasm. So you need some cooking oil, some olive oil, butter, salt, pepper, nice sharp knife, paring knife, a microplane, probably the most useful thing in the kitchen. If you haven't got one, use a grater instead. We have this big kind of thing for flipping, tongs, and then we have some matches if you don't have a gas barbecue and you need to light your own. We have some foil, a whisk, a bowl, a pan for a bain-marie, a pan for blanching vegetables, and a colander. So we're going to start with the dessert, the salted chocolate tart. So what we want to do to melt the chocolate, the best way to melt chocolate is in a bain-marie. Now bain-marie is obviously a French term, but essentially what we want to do is we want to put the chocolate in here and we put some water in there and just bring the water to simmer and then melt the chocolate over there. It's a nice way of melting chocolate because if you melt chocolate too fast, you end up with like a lumpy, grainy texture, and you don't want to do that. So we're just going to keep it nice and slow. And then we're going to add this fish food to it, also known as Foulkes flakes. Round about equal quantities of chocolate to fish food. That's going to provide the base of the tart, really nice and crunchy. And then we add a little bit of praline paste in there just to give it that big burst of flavour. And then we'll set that in the fridge. And then we have this beautifully rich chocolate ganache. I mean, it's it's filth in a bag. So what we're going to do, it's so rich, it's so decadent, we're just going to melt that again. And then when we've got the fouetting bases set, we just set the tart on the top. For 4 people, I'm going to set 2 of these. Obviously, if there's 2 of you, we'll just set the 1. Then we set, and then we can take that out. And then we're just going to go straight down the middle when it's set and finish it with a lovely whipped vanilla cream. So lovely fresh vanilla pods. We'll take the seeds out, add it to this cream, whip it up last minute, and serve a lovely rochet of the cream on top of the tart. And then we'll finish it with a little bit of salt as well, mulled and sea salt. So first, we want to start by melting the chocolate. Don't want too much water in the pan. You just want it enough just so the bowl sits in the bottom. So essentially, you want to create steam to melt the chocolate in the bowl. Okay, so as you see, the chocolate's melting here. And I think one of the key things, I think, when you're having people around for food in general, is especially a barbecue, is getting as much as you can done in advance. Because, you know, people do get nervous cooking for other people, especially, you know, if there's a lot of them. And especially at barbecue, where people tend to drink as well, and then the wheels start coming off because they've had, you know, too many bottles of beer, and then ribs are cooking and things are going wrong. So it makes sense to get as much as you possibly can done in advance. I remember, you know, I did a barbecue for my sister-in-law's wedding, and I roped in a mate of mine to help, who's also a chef, who will remain nameless because I don't want to embarrass him, Mark. And what we did is we set up sort of 2 stations. So I had the civilized station of, you know, nice little chicken skewers and prawns and squid and all those kind of things. And I said to him, like, you'll be fine. You just get over there and do sausages and burgers. He was like, yeah, no problem. How hard can it be? And, you know, we'd had a few beers, and, you know, we started coming on, and then we started the food, and everyone just descended onto him for sausages and burgers. And I was just like, you know, casually cooking 1 chicken skewer for some random child that came past. And then they threw it back at me because they don't like peanuts, and then went over to the sausage section. And he just went down like a sack of shit. So the thing I'm trying to stress is 1, don't drink too much too early, and also, just if everything's ready, you're taking the hassle out of it, you know. So have your dessert ready, have your cabbages blanched, have your potato salad done in advance, have your beef ready to go, have your dressings done. So the more work you can get done in advance, the better time everyone has. So we've got a nice low heat now for the chocolate, so the chocolate's melted. And then what we want to do is just add a little bit of the praline. Like that. Just incorporate that in. I mean, you can put in as much praline as you want. It's just, you know, if you really like the flavour of praline, which I do, so I'm going to put some more in. It's just such a delicious thing. And then incorporate that into the chocolate. And then carefully, using a cloth, because the bowl is obviously going to be hot, get it on there, and then add your fouetting flakes. Similar to making Rice Krispie cakes when you're a kid, or like cornflake cakes. That's really what we're going for. I make them with my son at home. This is just a slightly more decadent version for adults. So add that in. There you go. And that's what you're looking for, that cornflake cake consistency. Get yourself a spoon. What we're going to do is just going to put it in and just pop it in the bottom like that. And then just spread it out nice and evenly. This is such a simple thing, but such a delicious thing. And again, something, if you get it done in advance, it's just something you don't have to worry about. Just pull it out of the fridge, off you go. Just get it all nice and flat. It doesn't have to be too neat or too particular. Obviously we're going to cover it with chocolate ganache. And you can have this base, you can have it as thin or as thick as you like. And they're done. I'm just going to pop them in the fridge. So the centerpiece is obviously this beautiful, beautiful rib of beef. It's going to come to you in a backpack bag. So there may be a little bit of blood that's swept out of the beef. So what you need to do is you need to take it out the bag, remove it, dry it off on a cloth, and then about 3 hours before you start cooking it, you want to get it out the fridge and leave it at room temperature. It's much easier and much nicer to cook a lovely piece of beef like this when it's at room temperature. Same with all meats and generally fish. If it's something cooking a bigger piece, get it out earlier. But generally all meat wants to be out at room temperature before you cook it. What we're going to do here is that, you know, what gives meat flavour is obviously fat and salt. So this lovely fat around the outside, we're going to render that down on the barbecue. We'll start it that way, get it all roasting to get some flavour on there, and then we'll drop the meat over like that and then cook it on that side and then on that side. Plenty of salt and pepper is going to go going on there, and then we'll rest them. We're going to rest them with this. This is chimichurri. This is beautiful, beautiful Argentinian dressing of chopped oregano, parsley, garlic, a little bit of wild garlic in there, lemon zest, shallots, and olive oil. And we're going to rest it in that dressing so the dressing just oozes all the way through the beef. And you'll end up with this lovely dressing, all the resting juices from the beef with the chimichurri that will dress over the top just before we carve it, and a little sprinkling of salt. It's going to be absolutely delicious. If you have a coal or a wood barbecue, now is a great time to get that heat, get it on, get it moving, get the heat going in there. We're about an hour away from cooking that beef. So, potatoes, and the nicest way to eat them is just simply boiled in salted water. You need to wash all this soil off first. It's really a job you want to give to someone else. You don't want to be doing it yourself. But here we are. So just literally get a colander. So we've got the potatoes. You don't need to be too rough with them because a lot of the flavour is actually in the skin. So we just need to make sure that you do remove any soil that's on the outside. So warm water is best, just because it's obviously better at getting off dirt. And then just give them, and you can just give them just a little rub with your hands like that. And any excess skin will come off, and that's fine. That's what we're after. Like I said, we don't want to take off too much of the skin because that's where the flavour is. Then we have lovely clean potatoes. Now, when cooking potatoes, the key is not to boil them, because if you boil them, they break. You don't want them to break. So you just get them in the pan, and as the key with most cooking, salt. So just cover the potatoes with water. Doesn't need to be some big massive vat of a pan. Just enough water to cover the potatoes. And then some salt. Some salt in there, don't be shy. Salt makes everything taste great. And then get them on there. And then here we have a pan, again, just water, get some salt in there. This is going to be for blanching the cabbage. So we'll start nice and simple, really, really easy. Just get your knife and just go right down the middle of the cabbage. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to cook them like this. So pop them in there. Leave the root on. The root holds the cabbage together. Because you'll naturally, when we blanch it, a couple of these leaves are going to fall off the outside. But that's fine, because this is the part we want, the nice sweet heart of the cabbage. So we'll blanch it with the root on, and then we'll cook it with the root in as well on the barbecue. Now we're going to prep our peppers. So lovely romano peppers. Just going to take the top off like that. Nice sharp knife. Straight down the middle. And then once you've got all your peppers cut down the middle, get a paring knife. You just want to just remove just that little top bit there. And any seeds that are in there, just push them out like that with your hands. A bit tricky, just use your knife. So you end up with a completely clean pepper shell. Again, just going in at the top. Bits like that. Remove all the seeds. There we go. Potatoes there, come up to the boil, just knock them down. Keep going with the peppers. Okay, so now we're going to blanch our cabbage. Just get your knife there, and in the heart, just make a couple of incisions like that. That just helps the cooking temperature, the cooking water, go into the cabbage and cook these pieces well. Just like that. So if there's any leaves that just come off, don't worry about it. And then straight into your salted water. As I don't have some big, huge pan, what we're going to do is we're just going to cook them piece by piece. So we'll do 2 rounds. You want to cook each cabbage heart for around 2 minutes. It wants to be pretty much cooked all the way through, and then it's just a finishing job on the barbecue. Again, it's something you get it done in advance, and then we're just going to drain it, and we'll just leave it at room temperature. And then we're just going to get it on the kitchen towel just to remove any excess water. And then we'll just leave it at room temperature, and then all we've got to do is just finish it off on the barbecue. Also, our potatoes here, cooking away nicely. Key when cooking potatoes is, as I said before, don't boil them. What you want to do is just check they're cooked, put a knife in, and when they fall off the knife, they're cooked. These just need about another 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes, and then we'll just turn off the heat and let them sit, and the residual heat in the water will finish cooking off the potato. Cabbage hearts there. Use the tongs, just remove the cabbage. So you just wants to be still with a little bit of texture there. You don't want to overcook it so it's all soft. So you still want a little bit of texture there. Just see, everything just kind of opened up. That's what you want there. And these 2 back in. And now we just take our cabbages out into the colander with a bowl at the bottom to catch any water. Like that. And that is done. We can remove this pan of water, but keep it because we're going to use it for something else later on. And the Jersey Royals, nearly ready. There we go. Lovely. What we do with those now, again, just turn the heat off and just let them sit in the water until later on, and the residual heat in the pan will finish them and will be cooked perfectly. So now we're going to finish off our dessert, our chocolate tart. So what we kept here, this is what we kept the cabbage water for. Nice warm pan of water. You don't have to use the cabbage water. If you don't want to, you can use a normal pan of water. But I thought, seems that we've got it, let's save the world and save some water. So we're just going to get the bag, obviously it's sealed, and just drop it into that water there. And that literally just to warm it through. You don't want to oil it or anything like that, so don't put any heat under the pan. We're just literally doing it just to soften this lovely chocolate mix. So in the chocolate mix, we've got this rich chocolate ganache. We've got chocolate, we've got cream, basically all the things you want in a dessert. As I said, just lightly soften it. You can see it doesn't take long. It's already starting to soften up. Don't want to melt it completely, we just want to soften it. So just pull it and just touch it around like that with your hands just to break up if there's any lumps. And then we're going to get it back in the bowl, just reconstitute it, and then into the nice moulds. Just grab the moulds. As you can see, our moulds here with the praline, basically the cornflake cake mix, is set nicely in the bottom there. So we've got them there. And then we've got our chocolate ganache. Obviously remove any cabbage that might have stuck to the bag. And there you see, nice and viscous like that. Then, pair of scissors. And then into the bowl. Great job, nice and messy. Quite pleasing at the same time. Like that. Let's get a spoon. Just give it a nice mix like that. So if there's any lumps in there, just use the spoon just to work them out. You don't want to use a whisk because you don't want to aerate the mix. So you just want to use a spoon like that. And just keep mixing. There you see, lovely, rich chocolate mix. We then pour, and just give it a little shake like that. And then what you can do is you pick it up, just drop it like that, just to knock any air out of it. See the little bubbles on the top? Just drop it, and all the air comes out. And then once you've knocked the air out of the tarts, like that, just pop them on a tray, and into the fridge to set. You want to give those around an hour, maybe hour and 15, that's your minimum time. Nothing's going to change if they stay in there any longer than that, but your minimum is about an hour. Okay, so here we are, action time. It's time for actual cooking on the barbecue, the fun part. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our peppers. So yeah, lovely bowl, we get all these big pieces of pepper in there. Get some olive oil on there, season it up. Plenty of oil, plenty of rock salt. Just give them a little toss around like that so they all coat with the salt and the oil. And then we're going to get them straight on. Barbecue's nice and hot. On we go. We just want to blister these peppers, release all the sweetness in the skin. On there, and then just a little bit, any oil that's left, just get them on there. Here we go, so our peppers just coming along nicely now. That's what we're after there, is that the lovely charred pieces. Just gives it so much flavour. Okay, so here we got our lovely piece of beef, which we mentioned before. We're going to start searing off on this part here. But first, we're just going to get it to a little bit of oil. Like that. Again, nice little bit of oil. Cover all the beef. And the key is seasoning. Plenty of seasoning in there. Quite thick pieces of beef, so don't be shy on the salt. There we go. Plenty of salt in there. You can even pop a little bit of pepper on there as well. Our peppers coming along nicely. Okay, so now it's time to get our beef on. As I said before, start it off on that fat there. And immediately, the fat will start rendering down. If you didn't have a barbecue, I'd just cook this in a pan. So you'd seal it in a nice hot pan. Same way, seal it on the fat first, then onto the sides, work all the way around it, nice seal in some oil, and then I'd just pop it in a nice low oven around about 120. And you see there, it's starting to render already, that fat. You smell it, smells great. On the barbecue, I mean, you just want to get a really, really sort of nice seal on there. Get all of, you know, those flavours coming out, and then you know, what it doesn't want to be is crunchy on the outside and raw in the middle. You know, that's what you don't want it to be. So you want a nice even cook all the way through. So sealing it, and then you know, you use the top rack. If you've got a double rack barbecue, use the top rack and just, you know, finish it off on there. Maybe rest it on there a little bit. Doesn't need to be cooked all the way through on here. You know, you can put it there and wait for other things to cook as well. Right, so here's our peppers. Take them off. You want to just cook that, so you can just bend them like that, nice and soft, and then they'll finish off there. Pop them here, keep them nice and warm. And now we've got our beef on. Get the lid down. Get some heat going in there. And then what we're going to do, we'll finish off our potato salad. Again, just get your knife, just go straight down the middle. Again, something nice that can be prepared in advance and then put out while you concentrate on cooking on the barbecue. As we mentioned earlier, it's always nice to have some things done in advance, so it's not so stressful when everyone's kind of hanging around, as they do at a barbecue, waiting for the chef to feed them. Yeah, or you've run out of gas and you need to go to home base and pick something up. The most important thing about a barbecue, though, is do not run out of beer. That's the most important thing. As long as everyone's got nice cold drinks, they're happy. There's the beef there, lovely. So nice even cook on both sides. Cook it for probably around 8 or 9 minutes, and then let it rest. So we'll just get it all sealed off on here like we did on the fat. You get some heat going there, and I'm just going to pop it on that rack there just to finish it off. You render, there's a lovely line of fat going through the middle of a rib. You're going to render all that fat out of there. Okay, so that lovely caramelization on the beef there, that's what you're after. And I'm just going to pop it on the top there and rest it. You just know that's a top quality piece of meat. Right, now back to our potato salad. So we're just going to pop all the potatoes into the bowl. Just line them all up, plenty of potatoes in there. And then what we're just going to use, just use these lovely spring onion tops. Just put there we go. Our beef is going to take off and rest. Now, finish our potato salad. Just going to whip lovely truffle mayonnaise over the top. Don't be shy with this. So this was the truffle mayonnaise, and we've just basically just decanted it into a bottle because it's just easier to put on there and get it all spread out evenly, as opposed to just putting it on there with a spoon. So that, and then we're just gonna sprinkle those lovely finely chopped spring onions on the top. And our lovely potato salad is ready to go. So we'll just pop that there. Now, while our beef is resting and our peppers are done, what we're going to do is we're going to get the cabbage on. So this is our blanched Hispi cabbage from earlier on, which you've drained, and then we're just going to put a little bit of oil on there. A little bit of seasoning. And then off we go, straight on. You can use the same side as well where the beef was. Please all the vegetarians in the house. You'll have that lovely flavour off the beef on there. You just get there and we just want to char that cabbage, really draw the flavour out of it. So here's our beef. We're resting the beef. We're basically testing for the cuisson. So if you press in the middle like that, this medium rare. Depends how you want to cook it. If you want to really well cook it, just leave it on. But if not, you know, look for a medium rare, leaning towards medium. You're looking at around 8 to 9 minutes. Now what we're going to do? We'll put that in there, and then we've got this beautiful chimichurri. So it's quite nice to rest the beef with the chimichurri, so we're just going to smear a little bit of that over the top. I mean, it just smells absolutely delicious. Just over the top like that. And then we have our cabbage. And that's what we're looking for on the cabbage. This lovely charred cabbage. So here we got a lovely cabbage, all nicely charred. Just gonna lift that off. And then we've got this lovely cabbage, which we've got here. And we're just going to glaze it with our miso caramel. So what we did with this is just sugar, equal quantities of sugar and miso paste. And we take the sugar to a caramel, and then add the miso, and then we just knock it back with a little bit of lime. Lots and lots and lots of flavour in this. Nice and sweet, nice and salty. Just dress it on there like that. You just want to let it to sit, and it'll just start going onto that cabbage. Giving it so much flavour. Just like that. And then a little pinch of salt to finish it off. Then we're onto our peppers. Got these lovely charred peppers. Just to finish our peppers, got this lovely soft cheese. It's lovely, the softer the better. So what I did with this cheese, I just popped it onto the barbecue just to warm it a little bit. So you get this lovely, soft melting cheese with these peppers. Nice and sweet, nice and sour, nice and salty from the cheese. And then we got some pine nuts, which is going to dress over the top to give it a nice little bit of texture. And then we're going to finish it with some honey. Delicious. And then now our lovely steak, beautiful rib. So we've got our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful and delicious Jersey Raws with truffle cream, spring onions. We've got our barbecued peppers, pine nuts, honey and soft cheese. We've got these lovely umami bomb cabbages with all seasoning in there and just miso caramel and loads of flavour. And now we have our beef. So I'm just going to carve. There we go, medium rare. Got lovely beef there. So there we have our beef. We've carved, lovely. Just going to go a little bit of seasoning on there to finish it off, and then the rest of our chimichurri which we kept. And what you want to do is all these beautiful roasting juices that have come out of the beef that's rested. Just pour that into your dressing. And just dress the beef like that. Everyone is going to be happy with that. Rib of beef, charred cabbage, barbecued peppers, truffle potato salad. And there you have it. Barbecued beef rib with chimichurri, Jersey roll, spring onion and black truffle potato salad, grilled Hispi cabbage with miso caramel, and last but certainly not least, barbecued peppers with pine nuts, soft cheese and honey. How good's that beef, by the way? Absolutely delicious. Now to finish it all off, we're on to dessert. We've got our salted chocolate tart, which we made earlier on. And now we're just gonna make a little bit of vanilla chantilly to go with it. So we've got the nice vanilla pod. This is as simple as it gets. So we just split the vanilla pod down the middle and then remove the seeds and pop them in there. Both sides. Use your knife to get all the seeds out of there, like that. And then this is just double cream. In it goes. Normally in chantilly you put a little bit of sugar in there, but we don't need to do that because of the sweetness of the tart, so we just want something to cut right the way through. So we simply just whisk the cream. So whisking, figure of 8, always a good one. Gets it moving a little bit quicker. Even easier if you've got a KitchenAid, just pop it in, off you go. So we're halfway there now, so ribbon stage. So we want to quenelle it with a spoon, so we just want to take it a little bit further. I think I've actually been given milk, so it might take a while. And that's what we're after. Just like that, just so it holds itself up in nice little peaks. Now onto our tart. I've had this out the fridge around about 15 minutes, just so it again takes that complete chill off it. Let's make a little small snip with some scissors on the side of the tin there, and it will just peel off. Peel it all the way around, and then off the bottom. Simple as that. And then, quite simply, indulge. Straight down the middle. And then just lift it away. And then, we have some warm water there with a spoon. I'm just going to put a lovely rocher. This cream on the top. Next rocher so like that, and then just drag it back. Top. And then just finish with a little bit of salt on the chocolate and the cream. And you are done. And there you have it. Salted chocolate tart with whipped vanilla cream. Absolutely delicious. My favourite flavour of crisp? It's a tie. It's either pickled onion Monster Munch or salt and vinegar Walkers. My favourite restaurant? I'd say Rocker.
Where's Rocker and what does it do?
So Rocker's Japanese restaurant. There's a couple in London, but the one I go to most is on Charlotte Street, and it's just fantastic. It's just really good. Go. My death row meal. Obviously you want to drag out as long as possible because obviously you're about to die, so you want to live as long as you can. So I'd say probably Thai food. I think start with a few salads and then work your way through with some skewers and then onto some curries and then some noodles and things like that, and then finish off, hopefully escaping. 3 dinner guests, dead or alive. I'd say my granddad, who's unfortunately dead, Elvis, and I have to say my wife really, I suppose. Oh, my wife. If I wasn't a chef, what would I be? Better at tennis, more tanned. No, what would I be? What I would like to be is, I think I'd like to have been a pilot. The reality is, I'd probably just ended up being a chef anyway.